And because you're an HBCU grad and I'm an HBCU grad, that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with that on today. There's a former Nike designer who is going to reopen an HBCU. And I thought that was a really good. I thought that was a really, really good story because there's so much happening with HBCUs right now. We know that in recent news, a lot of funding has been cut from HBCUs, which were promised, although we have an HBCU grad as well who is in the White House, who we don't see much, but Kamala, who is out in the White House. But I thought that the White House would be more supportive of HBCU efforts and growing HBCUs, but we've seen that in recent days, and I don't have those exact numbers, but we see in the recent days, and David, if you can grab that for me, that they've cut funding for our schools. And I say our schools because we both graduated from HBCUs, but but now we're hearing news, about a former Nike designer who plans to reopen an HBCU out in Michigan. And I love that because it's Michigan's only HBCU. So it was closed down at one time. So I thought that was really, really good, a really good story. So I love that there's a increase in HBCU enrollment. And I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of because of we are here on social media, and they get to really see what it's like to be unapologetically Black and just learning and being brought up by so much of that. But to the story, child, the Lewis College of Business was founded in 1928 by Violet T. Lewis in Indiana as a secretarial school for Black women. The school relocated into Detroit, Michigan in 1939 and operated in the city for nearly 75 years before it shut its doors in 2013. Now, former Nike and Air Jordan designer Dr. Dwayne Edwards seeks to reopen the historic university and has found support from retailers like Target and the Gilbert Family Foundation. 82 years later, y'all. 82 years later and 14 years since it's lost its accreditation as an HBCU. I am honored to be resurrecting Violet T. Lewis's legacy in Detroit, said Dr. Edwards. Edwards is the founder of Pensole, a footwear design academy based in Portland, Oregon. The resurrection of the Lewis College of Business will change the name to Pensole Lewis College of Business and Design, or PLC. The school is also partnering with the College of Creative Studies. I think this is great because it's the only HBCU, right, in Michigan, and it was closed down. And I'm pretty sure, of course, like we just read, it was due to no funding. How many years? Yeah. That's a lot of time. I couldn't even imagine FAMU. I mean, we had, our accreditation issues at one time, but that was just very brief. But I couldn't even imagine FAMU not being. I couldn't imagine FAMU not even being where it is today. I could not imagine that. Could you imagine BCC, now BCU, not being something that like little dot in the land in Daytona?
So it happened damn near like a couple of years ago because we lost our accreditation. When I tell you, they started cutting all kind of funding. And so at one point, it looked like that school wasn't going to happen. Then all of a sudden, the money started coming in because, you know what? I ain't gonna say that on this channel. We ain't gonna give people the time of day and give them that benefit of the doubt. But there always them people
conversation.
Exactly. There's always people out there that just want more than what they need and trying to take advantage. But we still got it back. We were put on probation, but now we're done with probation, so we got our accreditation back. But I'm just glad that it's not a Morris Brown situation.
Where they're shutting down schools, listen, a lot of these schools, I feel like when they do get into the issue of losing their accreditation or things like that, I feel like that's not uncommon for PWIs to be, if they were to say, okay, HBCU is losing its accreditation because so and so and so. It's losing their funding because so and so and so. Other than issues like hazing and stuff. But when they say those things, PWIs have these same issues, but you never hear them say, hey, you never see that make news. Hey, this PWI is losing its funding. I'm not talking about online schools that's coming out of nowhere and just dropping on online right. And just like, hey, we're a school. I'm talking about actual historic PWIs. You don't hear those issues with them because they are pretty much safe. But us, who went to these historically Black universities and colleges and universities, we have all shared stories or no stories surrounding our university's history. At one point, the schools have been, possibly may have shut down, or the schools have been defunded or lost its accreditation. That always makes the news. And I almost want to say that in those times, it's because they want HBCUs to still look like they're so needy and they aren't deserving, and they're at the bottom of the totem pole. I remember when I applied to my HBCU being Florida A&M University, the prestigious, I heard somebody pronounce the word prestigious, the prestigious university sitting on the highest of Seven Hills in Tallahassee, Florida. But when I chose my school, I was actually... when I chose my school on Martin Luther King Boulevard, they told me I can't go to that school. I shouldn't go to that school because the school was losing its accreditation at the time, or it was in limbo of losing its accreditation at the time. There's no leadership. And this was from a white person. And they were saying, a white counselor at my high school, they were saying, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. You shouldn't go. Check out this local school, this community college. I was like, community college? Do you see my grades? Like, do you know who I am? Do you see all the extracurricular activities I have done? And no offense to no community college, because I know friends who have graduated from those and things like that. But I'm Haitian. Okay, my parents literally didn't even know what a community college was. All they knew is college, université. That is it, right? So when I went to these tours, and I went to go check out all these colleges, and because we were a Black group of kids at the time, and we were the only ones being taken on the tour from this Black group that we created at our high school, and when we were taking on the tours, FAMU was the only school. BCC also gave us love. FLOMO too. All these HBCUs, when we went on the tour, gave us love. But when we went to the PWIs, they really thought we wanted to go to their sports area. The FSU took us to their the middle of their football fields, and that's all we did. FAMU planned a whole day of classes for us. They started us off with breakfast. Yes, they started us off with breakfast. They literally put us on the set to have a good time for a little bit. Then they made us do every single class. We went to every class for the whole day. And then they did like this dinner and this welcome for us. It was just a nice moment. And then they told us, when you come here, we're not going to be responsible for you, but we're going to be pushing you to grow. We're going to help you guys grow up. And I was like, oh my God, this is the school for me. This is the school for me. And it was the best decision that I can honestly say that I ever made in my lifetime. That is one of the best, if not the best decision that I've made in my lifetime. And that's to go to an HBCU.
And girl, when I tell you, I remember in high school, we did a college trip, but we only toured HBCUs, and that's it. And when I tell you, it was the most wonderful thing. That's not it was the most beautifulest thing ever. Okay, damn it, it's okay. But we went to Howard, Hampton, I think Norfolk State. And of course, a couple of schools here in Atlanta, but like just the chance to see all this Blackness and all these people, I was like, oh yeah, I'm living for this. I never had a chance to experience my PWI until I did an internship at Disney World, the Disney intern, the college program. And I'm like, oh, this must be going to a white school must feel like, because it was terrible. But Dr. Edwards, though, is dope as hell, because the creator of Air Jordans, that man got money.
He about to drop something nice on that school. They thought that was going to be... Let me tell you something. I love when they drop money. And also, I just dropped something in the thread. Can we play that video? I think this would be great for this particular moment that we're talking about. And yes, Dwayne, you never have to ask. You can always join the conversation. But I really believe that, and I know that people are watching right now and they're wondering why we're talking about HBCUs. I know every time we mention HBCUs, they're like, okay, what are HBCUs? Things like that. HBCUs is an historical Black college or university. And they are so amazing. And if I'm not saying force your kid to do so, because I'm forcing mine when I have them, but I'm not saying force your kid to do so. But that is such an experience to go to. I ended up co-oping at FSU for dance. I danced at FAMU and I danced at FSU, not stripping. We didn't have OnlyFans at the time. I actually was part of contemporary dance theater. And it was great. I had a teacher my dance teacher who was actually part of Alvin Ailey, who worked across the way, but we had a dance studio at FAMU that was just created. And that's what it was. If you would go to the one at FSU, no offense, but when you went to the one at FAMU, it just was something about it. It was ancestral. Right. It was Black as hell. I loved it. It was like we would literally train in the morning to like 1,000 kisses from you. It's never, because when you went to an HBCU, you got to play the cleanup house music. You know what I'm saying? Yep. At the HBCUs on the set and stuff before you get to the twerk. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited about HBCUs, and I don't like what our government is doing right now to HBCUs. I don't like it because they're cutting funding from the schools in large numbers, and we have this.
So they're not cutting the funding.
They're not cutting the funding.
No, it's just that the proposal in the budget for the increase is getting cut. So the proposed increase will be lower than what they wanted it to be, is what the expectations are, but it won't be less than it currently is.
So I literally read this whole thread, and I need to find it, where the guy broke it down that language that you just said, it's like it's cover up for them cutting funding, because he did break down how, and I got to find it so I can send it to you guys. He did break down through the thread how right before our eyes, when we weren't even looking, how funding was being taken away. But he did say what you said, though. That was like one of the first parts of it. But then he did like the whole thread about how funding was being cut. So I'll find it so we can back it up.
And we got to get a Noah back, because I missed part of what she was saying, but on Wednesday she was breaking it down too, and she was saying that it's causing a lot of confusion.
Yeah, it is. So the confusion, I guess the guy was trying to clear it up in his thread. He was saying, yes, there has been funding that has been cut, but what it's looking like right now is that the numbers were just not what were promised, but there's still going to be funding. It's just not going to be what was promised to HBCUs. But they're saying that funding has actually already been cut, but we just didn't notice because of all the other things that have been in the news. But we'll get to that. And shout out to Anoa, who was here to break it down, because, honey, I didn't catch it, but I'm pretty sure that she was able to break it down. But play this clip, Dwayne. This is a great clip, and it's going to give you some HBCU pride. I think you guys
have it yet. I have to edit it for our new setup.
When it comes to fundraising, you know you got to talk to somebody from A&T. I take it. G-Ho's around the corner. We need to talk ASAP.
I get it. A&T, G-Ho, it's a lot of abbreviations. Point is, this is about FAMU. All right, brother. Hey, you know what? Let me hit you back.
Hey, yo, Will.
Envy?
FAMU is cool and all, but you know we do this at Hampton University. We call it the real HU.
First of all, when you start talking about real HU, you piss off them Howard people. So I don't want
Hampton?
Taraji?
Are you talking about the fake HU? Everybody knows that the alumni of the illustrious Howard University will raise the most money. HU, you know? Come on, Envy, get out of here with all of that. Get out of here with you talking.
Hey, yo, that's right.
This is about FAMU.
When it comes to HBCUs, there's Howard University, then there's everybody else. HU, you know?
Why are you so hype?
Yeah.
Diddy, you got an honorary degree, okay? Don't do that. You're doing the most.
Will, come on, stop that. You know what time it is. HU in the house, baby.
Well, Packer.
Sam? Okay, don't cuss. If you don't cuss, I can use this in the video.
What the fuck you doing, man? Everybody knows there's only one HBCU that matters. The house! And nobody's gonna raise more money than we do.
I love that. So
I love it.
Me too. So what Will Packer is doing, he's helping raise money for HBCUs. He's coveting that. And I love that, because Will Packer is doing so many new projects. And in everything he does, and Will Packer, if you guys don't know, is an award-winning, prestigious fellow that graduated from Florida A&M as well. He created a lot of shows for the BETs, for the OWNs, and he's made movies, if you know, like with people like Kevin Hart. You know, he's a big influence on a lot of Black culture right now.
He did Girls Trip.
Girls Trip. And I think he's working with one of these love shows on one of these networks. He's just really out there, and he helps a lot of HBCUs. I love that he has the HBCU camaraderie. But I love that when they're taking away funding or having conversations about taking away funding or trying to hide the fact that they may be possibly taking away funding by using verbiage that may or may not be what it is, we have us who can give back. I remember when, who was it that donated what we have as the Orange Room when I first went to FAMU. And that's when the high class people who had money on their cards, on their FAMU cards to go eat more than just the regular lunch food. You would go there and meet up with friends and have a good old time and eat your food. But we had a lot of funding go into bringing the school to a beautiful, like just the look of the school, like just making sure that when people come, they see the excellence. And there were a lot of things that were donated, keeping the school in its historic value, but things that needed to be fixed, bringing back our law school, bringing back taking buildings that were closed down, revamping them. I just loved what was going on while I was on campus, and I was able to see the growth of it. And when I see the kids online taking pictures every day, I hate, because I see that it's just getting so much. It looks so good when I look back at what's going on with FAMU, because we're giving back.